Welcome back. So here's one of my storm windows. These are the original aluminum storm windows that were installed when the house was built in 1954, possibly a little bit later. And you'll notice that this one is in really good shape. Well, it wasn't always that nice. There's a little bit of pitting on the aluminum, but that's okay. That's just going to be there. This is one that I've refurbished from the way it was. This is a window that I actually had to refurbish, and I'm going to show you how I did that. But we're going to look at one that has not been refurbished, and you can see the comparison before and after. Here's the kitchen window, one of the kitchen windows. You can see that it has a noticeable upward bend, and that's because the window frame, as the house had settled, it developed a bit of an upward curve. But this one looks okay. And I did two of these. These are the first ones I did. I did these the hard way. And I developed, as I went along, I developed better methods. Each and every one I did is better than the one before it, so. Anyway, what I like about these storm windows is that they sit in the channel rather than on top of. So the modern storm windows, they mount outside the window frame, and I don't like that. So I just want to quickly run over the steps that I'm taking when repairing these windows. So what I'm doing is, step one, I have to strip off all of the old glazing compound. I then have to clean the glass, scrape any loose paint off, and then I coat the entire window frame with an oil-based primer. The next thing I do is give the primer about a day or so to cure. I then apply new glazing compound into the rabbet joints. After I do that, and we're panning the camera over here for some reason, but after I do that, I have to wait approximately 1 to 3 weeks for the glazing compound to cure enough to accept a coat of primer. So another coat of primer goes on. This time it goes over the glazing compound as well as the glass to seal the joint between the glazing and the glass. The next thing I have to do is wait for that about a day or so to cure, and then I'll put a final coat of a weatherproof white exterior paint and give that a little while to cure. Once all that's cured, we're talking about a month here, all from start to finish. I can then scrape off the excess paint and clean the glass, and that is how I am refinishing these windows. In the meantime, I'm also refurbishing the storm windows, which we're going to take a look at in a little bit. The next one I'm going to show you is the bathroom window, which I am changing out the glass, and I think you might like what I'm doing there. And here's my bathroom window. Look at how clean that glass is. Can't even see it. That's because it's not there. No, I took the glass out. This one this window was the worst window in the whole house. I had to take all the glass out of it because it was in pretty bad shape. So I wanted to get everything cleaned as best I could, get any old glazing compound, both the bedding compound and the 45-degree angle stuff. Get it all out of there. This window was leaking pretty badly as far as air goes. And it's also in the bathroom, so it was a little bit of mold growth, just starting right up there, so I had to treat that, and then I primed it. Now, what I'm doing with this window here, which is why all the glass is still out of it, I actually had a local glass shop make me some, they're making me some new frosted glass panes. So I'm going to put frosted glass in this window and then set that in with new bedding compound and new glazing compound. So that's going to be a kind of a privacy glass switch over, which I think that will look good, and it'll allow us to open that shade and let more natural light into the bathroom during the day, which I think would be very nice to have. So and not have to worry about nosy neighbors. Tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. contractor's coming to pull this sucker out of here and put the new one in. So I'm trying to get this area cleaned out for him. And pretty much did that. Anyway, so what do these storm windows look like before I lay my hands on them? Well, here's an example. This is the bathroom storm window. And it's pretty gross. And yeah, still has the old caulking on it. I'm not even using caulking to seal these. I'm using a foam rope seal, and it's a closed cell, like about that thick in diameter. It's a weather stripping material, and what I do is I shove it into the side seams, and the top I don't need to because it's such a tight seal up on top. The bottom, you never ever want to seal the bottom. Unfortunately, the previous homeowner had that done at one point in time, or more than once. And what happens is, if you seal the bottom of a storm window, regardless of, well, this style anyway, what happens is water will back up. Water will find its way through the screen. If you have the screen closed and the window open, water can find its way in there and it will stay there. It'll build up. And you're going to have a lot of water damage on your windowsills. In fact, I've had to repair some of the windowsills with wood hardener and two-part epoxy filler. So you don't want to let that. You don't want to let water build up. So you never seal the bottom of a storm window. These storm windows are designed a little bit differently than the newer ones. Here's a good example. The bottom edge is scalloped with these little these things here. These are designed to allow water to drain out, in addition to being a really cool mid-50s style characteristic. But anyway, they're more than just style. They're there to allow water to drip. And if you seal around them, then you're going to have a little bit of a buildup of water. So anyway, bad idea. Don't do it. So this is a window that I've gone through, and I just finished this one. This goes into the second bedroom, and it doesn't look brand new, but that's not really what I'm going for. It looks serviceable. It looks nice from a distance, from the street anyway. Yeah. So what I do is I use my wire wheel. All right, I'm using a wire cup on my electric drill, and I'm using WD-40 and the wire cup, and I'm just kind of wire brushing the corrosion away. That's all I'm really doing, and give it a nice uniform finish. I'm also repairing any screens that need repair. This screen I replaced. No, this is not the one I replaced. It was a different one. But I'm making the screens work again. Oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. These are held in by spring rails, and they are not. It's not a terrifically good design, but it does work as long as you're not abusive. What happens is, if the screen is allowed to come down too quickly, those bottom D-rings that are used to lift this sash here, what happens is they become ramps and they force the screen off the rails. It's a bad design. That's why they don't make them like this anymore. But hey, it does work sometimes. And when the unit's not mounted into the window frame, it does. Like if you move it, the glass comes undone and it falls. Should I replace these? Absolutely. These should be replaced with new ones, but I don't like what is currently available to me. I happen to like the way these look when they're installed correctly, and that's pretty much the long and short of it. So anyway, I got work to do. I have no glass in my bathroom window, so I'm going to use the storm window for now. So let's go ahead and get that one fixed up, and then tomorrow I should be able to get my my new glass. So. Alright, so how we start is we put this on the bench, front side down, pop the screen off, put it aside. We're going to take the sashes out, so put them into the middle position. One side is spring loaded, and it's going to be this side here. So we just pop it out of the frame like that, put it aside. Take the outer, or the top sash out. Now, I had a problem where one of these, it had broken springs in the glass clips, or the sash locks. So I actually had to replace them, and I couldn't find anything that would fit. And then I realized that ballpoint pens, retractable ballpoint pens, just happen to have the right size spring for these glass locks, or these sash locks. So I have windows in my house that are locked into position with parts from a big pen. Hey, if the shoe fits, wear it. Alright. Now this one's being a bit of a pain in the ass, but there we go. Get that out. Now we're going to clean out the metal frames in these individually. Get there. Okay, now we're down to a bare frame. And I'm going to go over the steps that I take to bring them back to life. Make them look somewhat decent again. I say somewhat because, well, that's all you're going to get. Unless you invest in some kind of proper solution. Or you buy new ones. What I'm doing is I'm going to pin the frame into position with some nails. This is not a workbench that I care about. All it is a gun cabinet that I have flipped upside down. So there you go. I don't need a gun cabinet, but I do need a workbench. I just don't want it sliding around. I almost lost my drill there. Almost fell off the table. Okay. Next, I'm going to find a can of WD-40 that actually has contents. And we're going to spray the frame with WD-40. There we go. The WD-40 acts as a lubricant for the wire brush. And it allows us to get a much more consistent brush pattern, but it also keeps the dust down. So I got my drill on its highest speed. Battery is in need of a charge, but we're going to run it until it dies. Here we go. So this is what they looked like before, and then this is what they look like after. Look at that. Now I got to do the whole frame. So this is the company that manufactured these storm windows way back in the day, and actually I found an advertisement in a 1954 copy of the Saturday Evening Post advertising their insulation products. Yes, this company, which is still in business in one form or another, did make insulation products, and the aluminum storm windows were a very short-lived venture, or as a division of their insulation division. A little fun fact there. So, and they have been sued many times for all sorts of reasons, but they're still in business. So let's go ahead and do this. This scalloped edge on the bottom. You can see where these little depressions in the metal are designed as drains, and the water is supposed to follow this channel out, and you can see where they caulked around the bottom. and that is a no. Don't ever do that. I'm actually quite lucky that the windowsills did not rot away. It could have been far worse. But, yeah, here we go. Like the outlet, talking out of those rings. I'll move this nail. There we go. These I was doing by hand with steel and brasso, and I realized early on that it wasn't a very great idea. Because brasso is pretty efficient, and it's very quick. It was running along smell. When I fixed my first storm window, I was using brasso and steel wool. I didn't think it would be that big a deal. But what I found was that the brasso itself is it's a little bit toxic, and it was starting to hurt my hands, and it was hard to clean off. It was messy, the smell was unbearable, and it was getting to be a nightmare. So I started looking at other alternatives, and I found that just good old-fashioned WD-40 was actually doing a pretty damn good job of at least knocking down the oxidization. Minimal mess, minimal cost. And by using the power drill with the cup attachment, I have a cup and a wheel. I found the cup to be really nice for laying down that circular, kind of gives it a machined look if done right and consistent. Okay, so on the front side, I have to knock off all this dried up old caulking. Before and after. I tried to get a more uniformed machined look, but when I'm doing it by hand, it just takes longer. And I need to get this done. I'm losing daylight, so I got to get this thing together and up. I have no glass in my bathroom window at all right now. I got to get on this. We skipped a few steps. This is the upper sash, and I'm now in the process of cleaning the window. But basically did the same deal on the aluminum here to remove any built-up oxidization and other environmental detritus. And it looks like we got some paint splatters on this one, so let's scrape this one. I'm using 2 rags to clean the glass. The first one is to clean it, to get all of the excess WD-40 off the glass with window cleaner. The second one is to follow that up with a nice polish. And I have a glass scraper here somewhere. There it is. I'm going to scrape the paint off. Glass scraper, just like that. Our dirty rag first. I missed a spot right there. Starting to really lose daylight, so I gotta get moving here. We've got one more sash to clean in addition to the screen frame. I think this is about as clean as I'm going to get it right now. Some of that window, or some of that WD-40 does soak into the glass seal, so it might leach out a little bit. There you have it. Clean window frame. So we're going to pop that back into the frame later on. I'll set it aside for now. We've got the inner lower sash. It's pretty gnarly, pretty gross. Really not loving these new WD-40 cans. Really not loving them. They're kind of a pain in the ass to use, but whatever. Great. And there you go. The finished product. Almost looks new again, doesn't it? Almost. But I wonder how many more years we'll get out of these. For my next trick, we're going to replace that screen. It's actually not in that bad shape. This is an old aluminum, or possibly, I think it's aluminum screen. May even be original. But it has a little, it's about ready to let go here. A little wear mark of some kind. I don't know what caused it, but I'm going to replace it. So, need a few things. Now this is something that my father used to do all the time. And, you know, and while he's doing it, he's cursing out our poor little cat, Harry. Oh, wow. Yeah, this might be original. It'd be all, you know, fucking cat, fucking cat, you know, just... doesn't really sound like that, but yeah, he's my dad. Anyway, this was something that he did all the time, begrudgingly. We had an 8-foot sliding glass door, so he'd have to replace that 4-foot screen by 4 by 80 inches, I think it was, on a religious basis, and he did not like doing that at all. I'm going to tell you a funny story about screen replacements. It has to do with yours truly. Me, obviously. Some of you may know what yours truly means. to me. Party who's talking to you. So, when I was in high school, we used to do community service. It was a requirement from the high school that I graduated from. Well, actually, graduated from a different high school because my parents decided to move in my junior year. So, this particular high school required every student to perform a minimum of 40 hours of community service, doing all sorts of different tasks, projects, what have you, for the community. It's a very, very nice thing that they did. And anyway, when I was in 9th grade, we did a class project, or like our whole 9th grade class had a chance to go to any one of 10 different community-oriented events. Not an event, but it was to little jobs, if you will. And we didn't really get to choose where we went. Well, it just so happened that I was tasked with about 9 or 10 other classmates to do some community service at the local battered women's shelter. I'm like, okay, this could be a good way to, give back to the community, whatever. And so we went to the battered women's shelter, and the building was relatively well maintained, but they needed someone to help clean, and they needed some, organize and clean the basement full of junk. Mostly donated wares, to help out with the shelter, keep it running. Someone had to clean the kitchen, the microwave, the stove, and someone had to replace the front door screen. And, guess who volunteered for the screen project? Can you guess? Can you take a wild guess? Yes, I volunteered to replace the front door screen on, I believe it was the Ash Street, Nashua, New Hampshire battered women's shelters, right by the Nashua Soup Kitchen. So if you're familiar with New Hampshire, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, all right, I can do this. I've seen my dad replace 100 screens. There's no reason I can't do it, right? 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 Yeah. Hold on, I gotta wash my hands. Anyway, I volunteered to replace the screen in the front door. And I didn't think it would be that hard. So what do? I'm like, all right, well first I'm gonna need, they had the stuff, they had the spline tool, which we need. It's a spine tool. They had the spine, which I don't seem to know where mine is. Oh wait, I left it at work. Haha. No. Where the hell did I put it? Just had it down here. I brought down with me a roll of screen and a roll of spine. Where do you think I put the spine? Any ideas? I don't see it. I found my spine. Anyway, where was we? Battered women's shelter. Would have been around maybe spring of 2000. Maybe 2000. Anyway. First thing you got to do is you got to lay the screen over the frame. This is where we've been about 15 years old. This is our 15-year-old BBISHOPPCM done screwed up. So I got the screen, I got the frame, I got the spine. all I gotta do is cut the screen to fit the frame, right? Wrong. Yep, I did it. I cut the screen. This is not the right spine. I have another thicker one I can use. I, dumbass me, cut the screen to the size of the frame before I put it in. That, my friends, is no bueno. Don't do that. That's not how this works. That is not how any of this works. I didn't know any better. I did what I thought was right. See, I watched my dad replace 100 million screens, but did I really pay attention? Not really. I'm still really bad at this. I'm going to be the first to tell you, I am still really bad at this, and I'm going to probably screw this up a couple of times before I get it right. Probably. That's more than likely going to happen. I'll tell you that much. But anywho, there you have it. I need a knife. I need a knife real fast. So, so that happened, and I was really super embarrassed because there was not enough screen to finish the job. That's right. I used up a little bitty screen they had for their front door. So that following evening, or that evening, when all the women came back to the shelter, they had nothing but an empty screen frame to greet them because of me. Because I wasn't paying attention when I was watching my dad install his screens. Now, it's said, I believe, that you're supposed to do it, you're supposed to go, see, I'm still really bad at this, and I'm going to have to probably redo some of this. It is a tedious thing, and it's something that takes a lot of practice to get it right. You know, you don't want the screen too tight, but you don't want it too loose either. So it's like, if the screen is too tight, what's going to happen is it's going to pull the frame into itself and distort it, so it won't sit properly in the opening. So, and if you get it too loose, like I just did here, it's going to sag, and it's really, I don't like doing this. I wish I could find somebody to do it for me. It's actually, it's one of those, because you end up wasting material. If it gets, for example, if it cuts on the frame as you're cinching it in, as you're laying it down, sometimes it can get cut. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try from the middle and then work my way up. Let's try that. Right? There's various tips and tricks to get a consistent quality result, and again, it's really not working out for me right now. It loosened up. It's slacking here. So it's I don't like doing this. I really don't. It's just a pain in the ass. But it keeps slacking on me. Don't ever take, like, when you see this video, just remember, this is not how you do a screen. If you want to see how to do a screen, there are 100 videos of guys, gals, doing screen replacements, and they're all making it look easy, and they're all not me. So it's just, I've already done a couple of these with success, so this is not my first one. And I've actually, again, I've done quite a few of these without any problems, so I will do it. I will get it right. It just might take a few attempts to do this without any wrinkles. So, you know. I will get it. There, that actually is starting to look pretty good. I'm not using necessarily the correct spine. The thing is, this is an old screen frame. This is not what you buy at Home Depot today. This screen frame is like 100 years old, and these grooves are a little bit wider than a modern frame would be. So because of that, the spline that the screen specifies may not fit. It may be too small. So I had to use a thicker spine because of that reason. Now we're going to do the top and bottom edge. Wish me luck. I'm going to grab the spine. I can't reuse the old spine because why, kids? Because it is dried out and useless. Just like the person I won't mention again. Okay. I think starting from the middle worked for me that time, so I'm going to try it again. And it's amazing. So this tool is actually cutting the screen against the frame, which it should not do. But it's doing it because I'm here. I'm also on camera. That one came out pretty good. Okay. And the final edge. This is where things usually go wrong for me, because at the final edge, and you can't make any adjustments. There's nothing you can do. You're just at the mercy of the screen. It's not a good place to be, trust me. Final edge. I could use an aluminum screen on this, which is what it came with originally, but I prefer the fiberglass ones a little bit more because I think they age better. Now, I think it is, if I look down the edge here, if it's developing a smiley face, we have a problem, but it doesn't seem to be. Or a frowny face. If it develops a smiley face, I develop a frowny face. Oh yeah, it looks pretty good. It's not pulling. What I'm looking for is I don't want it to pull in on itself. But there's a ridge here. It's not what I wanted. I could always try to re-spline in that side, but let's just see what it looks like when I cut the rope off here. You know what? I'm going to let it go because I know damn well that if I try to fix this little slack here, I'm going to regret it. I will live to regret it. But you know what? Since this is YouTube, let's just give it a try. I might have to redo this whole thing though. Just keep that in mind. I may have to redo the whole screen just for this. It's new material. because it's already developed a bit of a, it's already kind of developed a bit of a material memory, so to speak, and it may not work for you, but it's worth a shot. If it starts to pull too much, I'm going to start screaming and swearing, so just deal with that. If you can deal with that, we won't have a problem here. Sound like a plan? I hate doing screens. In fact, there is a hardware store nearby that will do them for you for a nominal service charge. I don't know what their rate is, but it's not free. It's not free. Okay. Let's just pull this over. I mean, these old aluminum screen frames look baller with new screens in them. They really do. It really looks nice, and I like that. I want nice screen. Did this thing shrink? It shrank. I'm going to use new new spine. I'm using new spine. All right. Okay. It shrank on me, man. It shrank. How is that possible? I saw a YouTube video of a guy doing screens. I just wanted to smack him. You know damn well that it was multiple takes. I mean, he probably took like 10 takes. And he's showing just how easy it is to do your own screens. Very easy steps. 1, 2, 3. You son of a bitch. I know damn well we did not do that in one take. Either that, or he was the winner of the 2008 National Screen Installing Championships. Which is probably more likely. That, my friends, that's as good as it gets for a BBISHOPPCM screen. And I didn't even have to do it a third time. So, now, we're not done. No, it looks like it's maintaining its dimensional integrity. We're going to take a sharp knife, brand new blade if possible, and we're going to cut the screen This, my friends, is the absolute moment of no return. You cannot go back and fix it. Once you cut it, you own it. And if your knife slips and you cut the field a little bit, you now need a new screen again. But hey, we're gonna cut the spine. That one, there you go. I'm gonna have to tuck your spines in a little bit more on the ends. That'll happen. Fresh and new. I think I'm gonna check, make sure that spine is in all the way, because it's just popping a little bit. There we go. Alright. Ta-da! New screen. Okay, that's it, guys. Okay, so again, here's the screen mounted on the, so it rides on an outer rail. No storm window manufacturer today does that anymore. And for good reason, because it is unreliable. These do pop off very easily, and see, just like if you just grab it the wrong way, it pops right off. So yeah, these are not These are not a good idea. And you can tell, I mean, as good ideas and bad ideas are created, the good ideas stay at the top, the bad ideas fall off. And this was a bad idea. Did not take off. What it did is it allowed the company to produce a triple slide storm window without making the frame any thicker or without adding another channel. So they're using an outer rail, and that's how they made these triple slide storm windows. That's how they were advertised. Triple slide because earlier designs did not have. You would have to replace one of these sashes with a screen. And on these, you don't have to do that. They're self-storing screens, so you don't have to take them off every winter, store them in the basement or what have you. So I have made some adjustments to the slides, and it seems to be working. But again, in demonstrating this on camera, it is failing hilariously badly. So let me just get her locked in there again. There we go. I'm gonna have to make some more adjustments to this one because it doesn't quite line up right. So, and that's how I restored my 1950s storm windows. This was another screen that I did. This is one of my earlier ones. It came out pretty good. You can't complain either way. So I'm going to leave the windows here until I'm ready to put them back in with the storms. Anyway, I ended up replacing that screen again. Yes, and here's why. I was about to put it in, and I noticed that my spine tool cut part of the screen. So I'm like, yeah, I can't leave it like that. So I redid it again. But these are both ready to go back into their respective window frames. I ended up actually redoing one of these. I took it back apart again. It was one of the earlier ones I did, and I cleaned it up a little better. So really loving how they came out.